1865 Match Report.
Hello and welcome to the 1865 Match Report. We're recording the morning after Forest were defeated by Fenerbahçe but make it through to the last 16 of the UEFA Europa League. I'm joined by Tom Newton. We were both at the grounds last night. Tom, how did you feel about that performance?
It was with Forest's second string this season. It's been very bitty and no fluidity with it and everything. And then with Fenerbahçe coming, they absolutely decimated. I think they had about 8 or 9 first teamers out. They had nothing to lose, and they took the game to us, didn't they? Especially in that first half, we just couldn't get going. The passing was off. And I think we need to stop the one. It's not a regular occurrence, but this Murillo left back experiment because he's not a left back, is he? He was a bit all over the place last night, so he's better at centre half next to Milenkovic. But what a great performance. But in the end, it's Forest, isn't it? We don't do things easy. There's the easy way, the hard way, and the Forest way, and that happened. And if anybody's got any harrowing experience from like the Yeovil and Stoke games over the years, I think we're well weathered for it, aren't we?
Yeovil and Sheffield United playoff for the older listeners as well. That's one that came to mind last night.
A bit of PTSD, well, PTS, so but yeah.
So so as you mentioned, 6 changes. Now I want to talk about that later on, but 6 changes by Vitor Pereira. We had Stefan Ortega in goal. We had Nico playing at right back with Murillo playing at left back, and then a centre back pairing of Jair Cunha and Murato. Then we had Ryan Yates and Elliot Anderson in front of them, with McAtee, Dominguez and Hutchinson behind Lorenzo Luca. Now, I was expecting Dominguez to play on the wing and maybe McAtee in the centre. That's also something to talk about. But I was a little bit surprised at Murillo at left back as well, because we know that both Murato has played there in the Champions League, and Jair Cunha has in pre-season was playing at right back. But it was Murillo at left back. And as you say, Fenerbahçe were completely decimated by injuries and suspensions. They started the game, their fans were incredibly noisy, and they were organised in a way which looked quite. I was sat in the Trent End Upper, which it's maybe been 20 years since I've been in Trent End Upper, which was very, very nice. But you could see the away fans, and they had like everyone in sort of black in the middle, and then everyone in blue and yellow dressed as minions on the outside, which it looked quite impressive from where I was. But then as soon as the game started, they just chucked a load of flares on and delayed everything.
Yeah, I mean, we sat right above him and could see something happening, because obviously reflecting off the Bridgeford end roof, and then they just took them on. And I mean, it was a good job that Cunha actually turned around and realised there was a flare, because if he could have walked into that. But I mean, Notts police have tweeted this morning or late last night about this arrest being made, but we got searched, and I find it hard last night to actually take in a bunch of keys kind of thing. And then they can bring in flares or whatever. So I know it brings to the atmosphere, but if they're used in a inappropriate way, then obviously things like that happen. So it's a bit unsavoury. Then the pictures have emerged, haven't they, where they've smashed up the seats in Bridgeford End this morning. Yeah. So I mean, the colourful and noisy in one way, but then with what Forest fans had to endure last week, and obviously. And then we're giving out the red carpet treatment. It's a bit chalk and cheese, isn't it? If that's what they're going to leave at the end of the game, kind of thing. But one thing I have enjoyed this season though is the atmosphere from the Europeans. Even Malmo, who were on the pitch, are pretty crap, but their fans were noisy all night. And then Ferencváros the other week, and Porto fans. So I mean, Midtjylland only brought a couple of hundred, didn't they? But they were non-stop singing.
Bloody drum.
Yeah, exactly. So, if we're, I know we've got to obviously win the Europa to be in Europe next year, but that's one thing I'm going to miss atmosphere wise is that away fans bringing that noise and colour to
Absolutely.
the city ground.
So, back to the game itself. Actually, Forest were very slow, and for all Vitor Pereira's talked about identity and intensity and pressing high, we didn't really do that. But for the first 20 odd minutes, it was there was lots and lots of passing the ball about slowly, but we were sort of controlling the game more than Fenerbahce. And you're thinking Fenerbahce actually have to come at us if they want to do something here, and they didn't really seem to be making many inroads against us. But that all changed on 22 minutes, where we basically got Muno'd and caught on the break. And this, I mean, I've never been one for high pressing because it leaves you horribly exposed as soon as you lose the ball, and that's exactly what happened here. We sort of we were playing high up the pitch, and then we lose the ball, they break very, very quickly, and I know people have complained about Morato, but actually I don't really hold that much against him because
Uh,
really the fault was that the Murillo was so high up the pitch, everyone else was completely exposed.
yeah, and I do in a way. No, it's not like I'm jumping on the let's have a go at Morato bandwagon, but Murillo already pressed his man, so you kind of like is I've never played centre half, but looking at it, Morata should have just dropped off, knowing that there's another Fenerbahce player close by. But as soon as that happens, he's obviously exposed, so he should have just like dropped off and obviously stuck to his man. Because if Morello would have lost that battle, in which he did, Morato's obviously still in position to obviously look after his. Then obviously with the recovery speed what Murillo's got, he could probably get back goal side. So yeah, I am going to point the finger at Morata there because he didn't be to do that. Didn't need to leave his man. So then obviously once that's happened, them two out the game and they're running in on goal. And then soon as is it Aklu?
Yeah.
As soon as he
Yeah.
put Williams on his arse, I knew it was going to be a goal, and you like think, oh, here we go. It's a Forest thing again, and because like I said earlier, they've got nothing to lose. They've come to the UK. Edison was out, Tedesco's out, Soyuncu's out, Skriniar, Osterwald, so they were like absolutely decimated. But obviously we'll talk more about Forest, but I thought Guendouzi at centre back pretty much controlled it. Really,
Yeah.
I know it. I know he's up against Luca, and Luca didn't really give him any problems. But for a central midfielder to go centre back and play in that controlled manner, yeah, it was a good performance by Guendouzi.
Just on the goal as well, I think, and again, I don't really want to criticise him because he's a player I've been looking forward to seeing. But I thought Cunha got caught in two minds as to who to go against as well
Yeah.
when they were breaking. He was just sort of stood in the middle between the two of them rather than choosing one or the other.
Yeah, I
But
think it's one of those you damned if you are and damned if you're not. He
yeah,
was like I says, he was caught between two stools, wasn't he? And it's just like, I mean, if you would have done the other one, the other thing, the other thing might have happened as well, or vice versa. So yeah,
yeah,
but I thought Jair Cunha had a good game last night. I thought he was
yeah,
one of our better players, and I think he's shown enough last night. If Murillo's ever out injured, you could play him next to Milenkovic because every time the ball come into Jair Cunha, I was more confident that he would deal with it, in which he did quite a few times last night, than Morato, who's obviously he's got a bit of a checkered history in terms of the mistakes he's made. So
So yeah, well, we could talk about that later because yeah, I've been really looking forward to seeing Jack Cunha, and I've been very disappointed he's not had a chance so far. But once Fenerbahce went ahead, it was basically it turned into. I mean, it wasn't one-way traffic, but they obviously had their tails up, and the fans were going crazy, and you could feel the nerves and the anxiety spread through the city grounds. Every single missed pass, brought groans. And again, I come back to Hutchinson, that game where he put the corners into the side netting, and then you suddenly saw him fall. You could feel the groans affecting Hutchinson. He was struggling with it, and it was
Yeah,
only really Anderson who was growing into the game in any way.
yeah. I just thought with Forest, you go to the games. You knew last night there was going to be changes because of obviously the massive game on Sunday, and you don't want these players to fail. You really don't. But it's got to the stage now where you look at them individually on paper, the good players, your McAtees, etc., etc. But you're looking at them now and you're thinking they cannot get the job done. You know what I mean? It's just like an early goal last night from us would have settled everybody down. They could have just played the football because obviously it's 4-0 on aggregate. But no, they didn't do that. And it's happened time and time again, hasn't it, in terms of Braga, very iffy performance. Wrexham was just that was crap. That was, and it had to take Gibbs White to come on and Hudson-Odoi to take the game into extra time, because if they didn't come on, we would have lost that in normal time. And it's getting to the point now where these players cannot be trusted. And you're looking at, I think it got mentioned on Radio Nottingham last night, post-match, that, what is it, 3 months of the season to go, 2.5 months of the season to go, whatever. You've got to just ask these 11, 12, 13 players who are the ones who you can hang your hat on and says, you've got to give us everything, because below that, even though they look like good players on paper, they're just not showing it on the pitch, and they've been given ample opportunity. I get the counter argument when people are going to say, oh yeah, but they've been in and out of games, they've played a game here, but like McAtee, for example, played against Fenerbahçe, played really well, didn't see him for about 3 or 4 games. I get that argument, but yeah, it's just very bitty, isn't it? There's just no fluidity, no understanding, no like communication or awareness of where your player is and everything. Hence, a lot of the misplaced passes. And I know when you look at the 11 who played the majority of last season and a few the season before, in terms of like Sangari, Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi, etc., is that they know where the mate is, kind of thing. Whereas sometimes Yates and McAtee, for example, I'm not just like saying Yates, it's just an example. Like sometimes he doesn't know where he's going to be on the field, so you play a pass and he's like 5 yards away from it. It's things like that. So and then obviously the argument's always going to come back down to recruitment, because Luca played last night and I didn't think he was much cop, really. I really didn't. Like the ball was like bouncing off him. He couldn't hold the ball up, and then there was that one where it bounced off and then chased the player down, and he's like sived him down. It's a yellow card. It's just crap. And then Callum Hudson-Odoi, by all accounts, he's just got Player of the Month for Frankfurt in Germany. So,
Well, I mean, yeah, I've said I can't understand why we let Callum Hudson-Odoi go and why he never got a chance, because he looked like a player. But I'll say it now then. In Luca's defence, all I will say is when we signed Chris Wood, I can remember the bloke behind me when he came on as a sub in his maybe second game for Forest. The bloke behind me went, Chris Wood, I'd rather see Deadwood. So I reminded him of that all last season because it took him a long time to get up to speed. And he was someone who was used to English football, whereas or at least he's been playing in Italy, which is a lot slower. So there might be a player in there, but we just have not seen it yet. And unfortunately, we need someone to hit the ground running.
it's like Luca's had one good season, and sometimes you get it with these strikers from Europe. That one good season, you think he's going to replicate that season after it. But he's like Zilly from Dick Dastardly and Motley, isn't he? He's like the ball comes into him. He's 6'7", ball comes into him, he goes to like 5'4" kind of thing. His head just disappears.
This is actually the other thing. There's 2 things that actually have really bugged we'll get back to the game. There's 2 things that have really, really bugged me all season. Is one, I've heard a lot of people complaining about Igor Jesus, who we'll get to in the second half, obviously, because he doesn't play as a number 9. And then I'm looking at his history. He's never played as a number 9. He's been a number 10 all season. The most he's scored in a season is 8 goals. So he's got 11 goals for us this season, playing out of position. I think that's pretty good. And the other one is people keep on going on about Luca being 6'7". I was watching a few videos of him when he was scoring all those goals and stuff, and they're almost all with his feet.
Yeah,
Doesn't score with his head. And so
yeah,
people saying lump it high to him.
yeah.
It's like what? But anyway, that's by the by. Um, in the first half, yeah, Fenerbahçe obviously had their tails up, and we ended the half 4 minutes of injury time added on. Apparently, Yates dislocated his finger, which is why he was out.
I saw a close up on that, and somebody put it on Twitter. You think rather him than me? It didn't look great, but I think with Yates, he didn't do a lot wrong last night. But I think with that pain of obviously they've had to pop the finger back in, or what if it is a dislocation, or if he's broke it, obviously it's
Yeah.
going to be on your mind, kind of thing. Like no painkillers is obviously going to numb that pain, so it's on your mind. You don't want to fall on it and things like that. So yeah, he didn't play. Yeah, it was okay last
We were
night. I
just
think it.
overrunning in the middle completely.
Yeah, yeah, it was. And the guy who scored, I can't believe he didn't stop running all night. He
Yeah.
really didn't. And then the Derby eject at left back for them, Archie Brown. I thought he was all right. He got
He had a good game.
up and down, and then the goalkeeper's made late on. He's made some decent saves. So yeah, it's funny, isn't it, that they played all their big hits last week and obviously got absolutely trounced 3-0 and away at Fenerbahçe, but their second team showed a lot better showing than last week. I know they had nothing to lose, and against our second team. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and it ended up first half. It ended up with Ortega having to make a save just before the referee blows his whistle, and we go in 1-0 down.
The 1865 match report.
So second half sees Vitor Pereira realise that things can't continue. I want to talk a little bit about what you said after the game about this, but we saw 4 subs. I mean, 4 subs, that's a big deal, with Sangare coming on for Yates, Jesus coming on for Luca, Callum Hudson-Odoi coming on for McAtee, and then Ola Aina coming on for Murillo. So we went back to a much more traditional back four with I mean I do think Williams has lost the ability to play at right back as well. I thought he looked a little bit lost there.
Yeah, it wasn't his greatest game. He got caught a couple of times, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we'll probably talk about it a bit later on. But Pereira's post-match comments regarding the changes, I know he's probably like had a word in his like don't put these players under a bus in the by the media. But yeah, he did say, look, the players wanted to change something. He never criticised the players, which was I think was a good thing last night.
Compare that to what Dyche said after the Racing game.
Yeah, exactly.
Pereira specifically said, "I didn't want to punish anyone on the field," which I thought was he was struggling for his English when he said that, but I thought that
smart move.
Quite good.
He pulled a rabbit out of the hat there, didn't he, with his comments?
But obviously, make 4 changes. You think hopefully Forest can get a grip on it, and then what happens? Jair Cunha gives away a penalty. It was right in front of me, but I just didn't see it. But
well, I didn't see it until I got home last night because I was talking to somebody on the concourse, and I've come back, and then people around me said it's a penalty. And I knew it was obviously at the Trent, and I thought I was taking the piss here. It's like, well, I haven't even got to my seat yet. 15 seconds in or whatever. Then obviously the people were jumping on the Morata. I said, who was it? Morata? I'm like,
no, it's Cunha.
Oh, was it? Yeah. At the time, everybody said, oh, it's Morata. I'm like, but obviously since I've watched this, it's Jair Cunha. But I think the threshold isn't very high, is it, for penalties in the Europa League this year?
And to be fair, I was thinking throughout the entire game, Fenerbahçe were playing a bit like a Warnock team, which was being very physical themselves and then going down as soon as anyone went near him.
Yeah, but I don't think if that was in the Premier League, I don't think that penalty. I don't think it's given. To be honest,
I've not seen it back yet. But
there's a bit of contact, Grant, but I don't think. I think it'd be wave play on. Well, check badge first, then obviously make the decision second, kind of thing. So if it's like Liverpool or Arsenal, they probably would get the penalty. If we don't get the penalty, but Akpoglu, he scored his second, didn't he, from the penalty spot, and you're like thinking. This is when the words Sheffield United and Yeovil and Stoke started spinning around the ground. Yeah, but funny you should say about Yeovil because And they put it on their Twitter last night. It says, yeah, it's good, but it's not a Yeovil, is it? Because about Fenerbahce's come out, which I thought was like, yeah, well done, Yeovil. Yeah, so yeah, quite funny that was.
But actually, the change once that whatever I think it was 25 seconds into the second half.
Yeah,
That was so the changes didn't even have a chance to make effect. But once they did take effect, actually, we started to see what we know Forest are capable of doing. Um, we started playing with a lot more intensity. Sangare controlled the midfield in a way that Yates, whether it was because of his finger or whatever, just didn't. Anderson carried on being Anderson all the way through. But the key difference I thought was when we were up the field, Ola Aina was finding lots and lots of space on the right. And actually, it took a little while, but that's where our goal came from was I think it was Dominguez managed to, who is now playing in much more of his sort of natural position, I guess. It was weird, actually. I just talk about that because Dominguez was playing as a number 10 in the first half, and I thought he was really, really lost. In the
yeah,
second half, I think him and Anderson was swapping the number 10 role
yeah,
quite a lot. And he looked much more effective playing as a number 6 or a number 8. But just that having Sangare there to cover, I think gave him a bit more confidence when he was playing number 10 and he peeled off and he managed to receive the ball and he knocks it back for Aina, who is in acres and acres of space. And then Aina clips it all the way over to Callum Hudson-Odoi, who, after me complaining about him not being a finisher the other week, he actually put in a pretty decent finish with, I think, with his left foot as well.
yeah, it was. And I think when the ball come over to him, his first touch makes that goal because he just like stops the ball dead and he can set himself. And obviously he's hit him with his left foot. But I think going back to Dominguez, I think the reason why he was put in the number 10 role is more for his pressing more than his creativity. And I could see why that happened, but obviously, like he says, he was a bit lost. But yeah, I think that with Hudson-Odoi's goal last night, it just calmed everything down, didn't it? Because obviously
you could feel the relief.
Yeah, and it was a case of they had to come out and obviously, which they did because obviously those two chances late on by Igor Jesus and Omari Hutchinson 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He made a decent save from both really, but yeah, I just think that just relieved the pressure all the way around the City ground because you could tell as that second half was going, even though we had a bit of control. And it takes one mistake, and then obviously they've scored 3 goals on the night, kind of thing. And then you're looking at extra time and potentially penalties, and we all know penalties is an absolute lottery, isn't it? And
plus we've got Brighton. We don't
yeah,
extra time.
yeah, exactly. And we don't need any more additional minutes on what we've got to play at the moment. So
after the goal, though, I have to say probably my favourite bit of the match. So throughout the game, obviously the Fenerbahçe fans had their flares, but then also throughout the second half, they were all holding up their phones with their torches that while doing the singing. So straight after the goal, all the Forest fans put their phones up.
Yeah, that was good kind of thing. So, but yeah, it just killed the tie, didn't it? Because obviously, I think they put a lot into it, and you looked at them were a bit dead on the pitch because obviously the difference in physicality and fitness between a Premier League side and obviously a Turkish Premier League side kind of thing. You could see the difference, and obviously they didn't have anybody to bring off the bench because of obviously how decimated they are with the injuries kind of thing. So yeah, it killed it dead, and obviously it would have been nice to obviously get another goal on the night, more so for Igor Jesus just to give him that confidence boost that to get a goal kind of thing.
Because so he had a couple of chances, in particular that breakaway at the end, and then Hutchinson probably had the best chance where I think it was Anderson that played him in, and we got a counter attack on them, and he was 1-on-1 with the keeper. On the radio afterwards, they were saying he's made the wrong choice. I mean, I think given you could see him sort of wilting in the first half, so maybe if he'd not had that first half, he might have done things differently. And you think with his close control as well, he could have taken it around the keeper. But got straight at him.
Yeah, it's like one of those. It's like you expect him to score, but it is at the same time it is a good save by the keeper because he's tried to give him the eyes, and obviously keeps like shapes himself to probably go to his right, and he's obviously just gone to his left and obviously turned it away from goal. So it is a good save from a keeper's point of view, but then he could have done a lot with it. He could have lifted it over because he like really committed himself, didn't he, the goalkeeper? Yeah. So then obviously the Igor Jesus one that should have.
That one again,
it was a harder chance, yeah.
Yeah, but he shot straight at the keeper, and you're thinking actually there's a bit of goal for him to aim for. But we're not going to complain too much about it. The only other thing to note was Morgan came on for the last sort of 5 minutes or so, replacing Dominguez. What I did notice was when the board went up for the substitution, Anderson started running over and then saw the number and shrugged and looked really confused. And Pereira said afterwards his plan was always to take Anderson off, but because of the 4 subs, he couldn't do.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we got the job done, didn't we? And Ortega had a calf injury, didn't he? But he carried on. So hopefully that's not too bad for Sunday. Luca.
Actually, I said to the bloke next, because Ortega came charging out and everyone's hearts were in their mouths at one point. Yeah. He came charging out of his box to try and take the ball off someone.
Yeah.
And the ball did go out for a throw-in, and Ortega sort of went back and then pointed to his calf and asked for the physios to come on. And I'm like, oh my God, he's done a John.
Yeah. It reminded me, when we played Leicester in the FA Cup a few years ago, and Sam had come out to got involved with those pigeons, didn't he? And obviously took his eye off the ball, and Kelechi Iheanacho scored, and obviously I know we won 4-1, but I always thought, here we go, we've got another goalkeeper, because we've had some horrific luck with goalkeepers this season. So hopefully he's all right for Sunday, because
I think he's decent, isn't he? So
yeah. So. But we've got to state in the obvious. We've got to go to Brighton and do something we haven't done in the Premier League yet and beat them at the Amex. So it's a big game, because I believe West Ham have got Liverpool at Anfield tomorrow, haven't they? So it'd be nice to win a weekend, so to speak, because I'm not like one of those fans who say told you so, but we'll go to Manchester City on Wednesday. And people are going to say, "Oh, you've said it now," but we've never scored at Etihad since we've been promoted. I think it was 6-0, 2-0, 3-0. So I don't give it. Even though I'm going, I don't give as much hope there, because obviously they will want to get the points on the board chasing Arsenal for this Premier League title. So I think it's massive on Sunday that we've got to go to the Amex and come away with something. It'd be nice to win. If it's a draw, it's kind of like, fair enough kind of thing. Then obviously we've got a free weekend, haven't we, next weekend? The FA Cup. Then it's Fulham the week after. So we've got to start getting wins. Stating obvious, we've got to start getting wins on the board and try and create that gap from us and West Ham, because of all the good what West Ham have done in recent weeks, is that we've still got that cushion on them. So we've got to start obviously building some momentum now and getting some wins and hope some goals kind of thing, because that's been a real Achilles heel, especially in the Premier League recently.
Yeah, I mean, as well, I hate to say it, but Nuno knows how to win at Anfield.
Yes, he did it last season, obviously. So, and did he do it at Wolves, or did he got a good result in his time at Wolves, didn't he? So.
I think so. But certainly the way West Ham are playing, he's got them playing proper Nuno ball.
Yeah,
compact and on the break. So,
and also they haven't got the distraction of European competition at the moment.
Yeah.
We need to win a weekend, don't we?
Brighton and Fulham, 2 teams. Fulham especially, we struggle against. It's not looking great. But anyway, so we lost on the night, but we made it through to the next round of the Europa League. We'll find out later today if it's Betis or Midtjylland. Who do you prefer out of those two?
I know there's fans out there who would probably say Midtjylland, because obviously it's a new ground to visit and everything. But hopefully it's Real Betis, because I've got more chance of getting a ticket, even though I'm in a priority 1. But like I says, I've only done 2 European away games this season. So, for the selfishness in me, I'd like it to be Betis, because obviously I've got more chance of getting a ticket. And warm
On a
weather.
football front, I think it doesn't really matter because they're both going to be very, very tough games, especially given how the games are sandwiched in between everything else we've got going on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, against Betis, I know it was under Ange and everything, but we was absolutely brilliant for 45 minutes. And if it wasn't for a lack of concentration from Zinchenko late on, we would have won that game 2-1. And you never
And the whole
know.
season could have been different.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
That and Swansea.
yeah, Ange would have got his first win.
Yeah.
And obviously he can turn around to the players and say, look how well you played and etc. because they were brilliant for that 45 minutes against Betis. But it wasn't to be, was it? And obviously
it was a weird thing as well. I think the way Pereira wants us to play is actually pretty similar to Ange ball.
yeah. So, but yeah, we'll just have to wait what happens this season. And yeah,
The only other thing I just wanted to mention is again about the second string squad. I think, and I've said this before with Deitch, I think maybe making 6 changes, we just can't afford to do that because the players aren't necessarily up to scratch at the same level, but also we're always going to lose fluency when you make 6 changes. So maybe we can only afford to make 3 changes, and we have to do a very sort of subtle rotation through every game where we make 1 or 2 changes every game, just on who's worst.
I mean, last week against Fenerbahçe, we absolutely did what you do at European level in terms of like get the job done in 60 minutes, like the big teams do it. Then they go away, get it done, and obviously you can obviously make changes, etc. And I can see why Pereira made the changes last night because of obviously he's got one eye on Sunday. But yeah, I think if you're going to do a rotation thing now, rather than resting players for games, you've got to like rest players for minutes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to have a call and you like swap him for him for him. And obviously, so if you can get the job done in 60 minutes, you can like take your likes of Anderson. I mean, Anderson wants to play every game, doesn't he? Yeah, when he come off against Liverpool, he
looked quite annoyed.
He had a hissy fit. So, but like I think it's more so like players like potentially Murillo. Obviously, he's just come back from injury. Iron come back from a long layoff kind of thing. And sometimes last night he looked spent, and the next minute he found a second wind. And
he always looks spent.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're just got to be very careful with the minutes from now until the end of the season, and obviously try and use your squad, but to minutes rather than games.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Right. Well, we'll leave it there. We'll be back after the Brighton game on Sunday. We've got Man City away, so we'll be back with reports after them. So thank you, Tom. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back. See you at the weekend. Come on, you Reds.